Next is the neuromuscular responses, how they control movement. A stimulant, for example, go, is then given to the sensory organs. These sensory organs sense something which is then sent to the sensory nerve. Then to a motor neuron, where the brain makes a decision in the presynaptic nerve. There is a myelin sheath around an axon in the motor neuron nerve. This gives a wave of depolarization. These waves of depolarization jump over the myelin sheath. These myelin sheaths are what help to speed up the saltatory conduction. Depolarization happens, and then repolarization happens. At the end of these presynaptic nerves is a muscle fiber. These muscle fibers has the neuromuscular junction sac of ACH. ACH is a type of neurotransmitter. The ACH goes into the receptor sites in muscle fibers via T-tubules. Sum this up. When the stimulant, aka saying go, is sent to the ear, the sensory nerve this sends a sensory nerve to a motor neuron, which is sent down a presynaptic nerve, where when the stimulus is then sent down the nerve to the muscle once the brain has made a decision. Once it gets to the muscle, there are motor units in which the brain recruits to do things. Motor units have different variations, meaning different size variations on how many motor units are going to be used for the amount of muscles that need to be used within the fibers of the muscles. They recruit different sizes. There's different motor unit types. These vary, and the fibers change depending on the intensity. When there is a small movement, the brain uses the fast glycotic. However, when a higher contraction is needed, for example, in a sporting activity of this may be in football, when you're taking a penalty, the run-up and the penalty uses a lot of muscle types. This could be a slow oxidative movement, as there is higher contractions needing. It also could be an example of generally running around the pitch. When the intensity is higher, the fast oxidative glycotic muscle fibers are used. This could be in a kick, or as the game continues, a header. However, at the end of the match, the fast glycotic fibers are used along with the lactic acid energy store when the muscles are super tired out and they can only use form of lactic acid as energy. For example, kicking a ball. Different amounts of motor branches are used from the motor neuron within the muscle fibers, depending on depending on the muscle fiber that is used, meaning slow oxidative, fast oxidative, glycotic, or glycotic fibers. Fast glycotic fibers. Moving on to proprioceptors. Number 1 would be muscle spindle apparatus. These are small sensory organs found in the muscles. They The stretch in the muscle is sent to the brain, which then tells them to shorten, meaning that the muscle spindles tell the muscle to contract. They shorten the tendon, which then stretches, and the spindle recognizes this and contracts. This sends a signal to the hamstring to inhibit a hamstring to the quad, but the quad is the main muscle that is contracting. This is called the knee-jerk reflex. The main signal is sent to the spine and then straight back to the muscle for a quick reflex. However, there is also a signal sent to the brain which is telling the brain what is occurring. They can also be used in anticipating a big force preloading. The fibers are sensitive, which helps the movement. An example of this is when you get a knee-jerk hammer which hits the correct nerve in order to make the muscle spindle recognize this and send a signal to the spinal cord for the muscle to then contract. Another proprioceptors is the Golgi tendon organs. These are inside tendons and our Golgi tendon organs are our Golgi tendon organs. An inverse stretch reflex, which create tension. These send a signal which reduces the excitability of a contraction or a stretched muscle. This is also known as the autogenic inhibition. In the weights, the Golgi tendon organ is the sense organ that tells you how much tension is being exerted. If there is too much tension, the Golgi tendon organs will inhibit the muscle from creating any more force so that you don't injure yourself. All of these would be when you catch a ball, the ball instantly goes against gravity and pushes the weight down. However, this then tells your muscle spindles then receive this, and then send a signal to the spinal cord, which then makes them tell the muscle to contract, lifting the ball up, making it at a normal height. However, if this is too heavy, your Golgi tendon organs are activated, and because it's too heavy, they instantly make the person drop the stimulus, aka the ball. A sporting example of the motor unit recruitment would be in a football environment. At the beginning, when running around, the motor unit recruitment will recruit the slow oxidative muscles, as these are the most useful when needing a lot of oxygen in a long period of time. As exercise continues and lesser contractions are used, for example, when running from one side to the other side of the pitch, but not for a long period of time, the fast oxidative muscle fibers will be in use. And then when a penalty or something like that is happening, the fast oxidative muscles will be in use as it's a quick movement. Triggering of the control of movement would be catching a ball as a goalkeeper, for example, in football. The stimulant, aka catching the ball, sends a sense, which is then sent to the sensory organ, which would be your hands, via the sensory nerve to the motor neuron and the presynaptic nerve. Data analysis. You can only really compare the timings in which the sports were, meaning the different types of muscle fibers that will be used, and for example, in the Wingate test, the stimulant would have been the teacher saying, "Go!" This this only lasts for 20 seconds. This piece of movement only lasts for 20 seconds, and so only the fast oxidative glycolytic fibers would be used when performing this sport. When the person said go, this would move through the sensory organ to the sensory nerve, down to the motor neuron and the pyotic nerve. This makes you start pedaling. The proprioceptors would be engaged in this activity throughout helping to pedal. However,
Snapchat, 4 minutes ago, PhD.
Especially when the weight has been dropped, the muscle spindle will be alerted. However, in the 16-minute multi-stage fitness test, the only stimulus would be the beeps on either side. However, they wouldn't make your muscles move, as your muscles would already be moving as the sport happens. The muscle unit recruitment would be slow oxidative muscles, as you are doing a long period of exercise that needs a lot of oxygen.